Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Tactical Tuesdays. I'm Tyler Strom with Legacy Volleyball Club. We decided to switch things up this week and just drop a video to make sure that the clips we used ran smoother. This week we will have our 13s coach CJ to help demonstrate 4 different concepts we feel strongly about at Legacy. Keep in mind, not every coach teaches passing the same way, but these 4 concepts are widely recognized as quality tools to become a more efficient passer. We hope you enjoy. Before we get started, a quick note on posture. We'd like our passers to maintain a relaxed stance, roughly shoulder width apart with their knees slightly bent and their arms away to create that space between the back of their arms and their chest. The biggest thing that we want to avoid is locking out those knees and getting our nose too far over our toes for the sole reason that we lose out on a lot of athletic movement that way. As you can see in this picture of the U.S. national team, there really is no universal way to set up. The goal is just to put yourself in an athletic position with your arms out in front of you. Our first concept has to do with a passer's first step. If you watched our last video, you'll remember Karch talking about trying to get to that ball in 3 steps. This follows that same guideline in the sense that we want players taking steps to cut off the ball in as few steps as possible, rather than taking a bunch of unnecessary ones. As you can see, CJ's starting in that relaxed posture we spoke about. As you watch him pass, notice that you don't see a ton of extra steps. Right now, we're just working on what we call inside-out passing, where passers will start and serve receive and work outside the court, focusing on that simple footwork and taking those direct steps to the ball every single time. Next, we will work on what we call outside in. Again, those steps stay consistent. You don't see what we call those happy feet. Every step has a purpose, and that's why it looks so easy when he's passing. His footwork allows him to maintain that balanced position every time he passes, no matter what direction he's traveling in. Our second concept is the simple notion of creating your platform away from your body. Too often, we see players in a great ready position with their hands away from their body, immediately go to their platform and drop their hands down between their legs. This severely limits your ability to create good angles, especially when you're playing at a high level with serves traveling faster and moving more. No matter which way your feet are moving, you want to have as much space between your chest and tricep as possible. The concept of getting your hips out of the way when you're passing is called clearing. On faster, more aggressive serves, this concept will allow you to take something off the ball and keep it under control. In this clip of the U.S. national team in serve receive, you'll notice that their platforms are out early and away from their body to give them the best chance to creating a good angle. Our third concept is slightly more advanced but important nonetheless. Dramatic head movement in serve receive is something we see too much of at every level. What we mean by that is by constantly moving your head in serve receive, you are also changing your eye level. Combine that with a good float serve, and you are making an already difficult skill even more problematic. We like to use the term keeping your head in the square. This allows the athlete to, in part, visualize keeping their head as stationary as possible when passing. Notice CJ's eye level does not change as he passes. We realize that if a float drops at the end or rises, you'll have to make a move. What we are trying to avoid is getting low in serve receive and then immediately popping up on the server's contact, followed by a dropping back down motion before the pass is made. I realize this is a little hard to see, but I want the biggest takeaway from this to be the fact that on contact, those heads are not popping up. They stay as still as possible. A great way to illustrate this to all players is by using the duck analogy. If you've ever seen a duck swimming across a body of water, you'll notice that the duck's upper body isn't moving and that its feet are doing all the work, which is exactly what we want in serve receive: a quiet upper body and a fast lower body. And while I realize it's fun to watch these attackers take these big swings, you have to understand that if that ball is not passed to target consistently, those outsides, the middles, and the opposites are never able to take those big swings. Our last concept, and probably the most important one, also happens to be the most simple: angles. a term echoed across gyms of any level all over the country. You can master the concepts we spoke about previously. However, if you struggle making good angles, you'll struggle to pass at any level. The first thing we want to try and do is eliminate the swinging of arms. The more uncontrolled the platform, the more uncontrolled the pass. So we want our players getting their platforms out early and using their shoulders to create a tilt, allowing that ball to consistently make its way to target. Before we get into breaking down the film on our players, this is a succession of drills done by Purdue that we do at every practice, focusing on creating those great angles. Keep in mind, this drill can be done at home, in the driveway, and the level of difficulty can be easily modified by entering more difficult balls or serving. As you can see here, players are going from their base and serve receive. They're taking those drop steps, feet are going directly to the ball, head are staying level, and they're creating those angles every time. This is the drill we were doing with CJ, where we start inside the court and work our way out. Biggest thing when you're moving outside the court is to try and keep that outside hip around the ball. So that ball is in their midline, they're not reaching to their left to get to that ball. Everything is inside their body, which just allows you to create a better angle. This is what we call passing in the deep diagonal. Biggest takeaway with this is that they're not taking that step towards the sideline and then backpedaling, but they're cutting that ball off by drop stepping and keeping their shoulders down. Just another look at diagonal in passing. You're just going to see here the head still stays down. We don't see a ton of swinging with those arms. It's just a nice quiet platform. We create that angle, but there's not a ton of swinging as they're making this move. I spoke to Dave a little bit at the AVCA convention this year and just kind of asked him, why they continue to do this drill or this succession of drills over and over. And his biggest takeaway was just that so many college kids come to college and still don't have the fundamentals down. So if we can work on this early and start to build that foundation, it will just make for more success as they progress through their volleyball careers. So the 4 concepts we've talked about today, one being your first step, making sure that first step is directly to the ball, not taking those unnecessary steps. 2, create away, making sure that that platform is created away from your body, that we're not dropping our hands inside as the server contacts the ball. 3, keep your head in the box, making sure we're trying to keep that head from moving in serve receive or keeping it as still as possible. And number 4, just focusing on those angles every time, no matter where we're passing, making those good angles and getting that ball to target. In closing, we're going to watch a couple clips of another 16s one passer, Squid. From a fundamental standpoint, she really is a good player to watch in receive just because of how solid she is using her angles and her footwork to get to every ball and making it look easy. She starts off in that relaxed position when the ball is contacted, pass and hold, keeps those shoulders down. Everything looks good. Same concept here. Really quiet with her upper body, moves her feet there to make a good pass. Here you'll notice as the ball gets served, watch her head just stays very level, doesn't move that head, just what we want. Same thing here, even though her feet are moving, upper body stays quiet. She obviously has to make that move at the end, but you don't see a ton of extra head movement that just makes things more difficult. Look, no matter where you're at in your volleyball career, serve and pass is important. And with these tools, we feel that while you may not become an incredible passer overnight, that your consistency will definitely improve. That's all for this week. Thank you guys for watching. If you like these videos, please hit the subscribe button at the bottom, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, guys. Stay safe.